We shouldn't talk about this may contain graphic descriptions and/or explicit content that may not be suitable for all listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Hi, everybody. I'm Key,
And I'm V.
and this is We Shouldn't Talk About This.
Key, we are on week 3 of October.
Yes, I cannot believe how fast this month is moving.
Yeah, same. Same. It's going by really quickly.
Yeah, it's like 2020 has been the longest year, but October's been like the shortest month.
Yeah, it's not fair. It's not
Not
fair. We
fair at
can't
all.
can't have anything great.
No, but speaking of great things, your birthday is in a couple days.
It is. It is. So my birthday will be in 5 days when this episode releases.
So, any big plans?
I will be going to Mount Pleasant, South Carolina with my lovely girlfriend Alyssa, and we're going to do the old Charleston jail tour, the haunted jail, as it's known.
Ooh. Mm.
Pretty excited about that. See some spookiness, feel some chills, probably get scratched. If I get scratched, I'll just make my day right there.
Wow. You want to be scratched by a ghost.
I would love to be scratched by a ghost.
Well, alrighty then. Learn something new every day.
If there are any ghost cosplayers out there, hit me up.
Yes, hit up V. Don't hit me up.
Oh, okay. Thought we're on the same page there. I guess I misread the room.
No, we're not even in the same book on that one.
Mm.
I want all my ghosts to be unseen and unheard.
So you don't even want friendly Caspers. You just want just ghosts that just mind their own business, stay in their own part of their house.
Right. If we have to be in the same room, I don't even want to know you're there. Just silently observe.
I think it'll be pretty fun just to have like a ghost, um, share the same space as me, because like it'd be very strange and unpredictable, and then of course, like they say like the energy feels different. The air feels different, and so I just wonder what that would feel like.
Maybe you should go on like those haunted ghost tours around America where you like go to the Amityville house and like one in every state.
Yeah, I would guess like the one
Maybe you should
for
do
South
that.
Carolina is the Charleston jail. I would think that's one for South Carolina, but there could be another one that's really active with activity.
Oh, are they gonna have like the little machiney things like on that TV show that tells you if there's like
Oh, like
disruptions?
an EMF.
Yeah.
Probably not. I think they'll just be like kind of taking this around, saying like, this solitary confinement room is where they had 13 prisoners at one point, and they all died, and some of them ate each other, stuff like that. I think they'll just tell us history of it. I don't think they'll have any kind of cool technology to like, experience phenomena, stuff like that. Any kind of recorders that could pick up stuff that we don't hear.
Wow. So the prisoners possibly actually ate each other. That is wild.
Yeah, that would absolutely suck. But that goes along with our October theme of people eating each other.
Cannibals.
Cannibals. I want to think of this as more of a zombie episode for our listeners, but of course zombies are a thing of fiction, and cannibalism is nonfiction and very scary.
Yes, I mean, okay, I love the show Hannibal, like the show that was on TV, because he just made it look so elegant. But
Yeah,
I
it was
would
more of an
not
art.
want to eat people. That just doesn't sound appetizing at all.
It doesn't. People don't really take care of themselves all that well. Animals are at least, in doing what they do best and like, run and eat what they're supposed to eat and just live their life.
I think it's more so like it's either going to be like you're too fatty and you won't
Hmm.
taste good, or you're too muscly and it's going to be too tough.
Yeah.
Like it's like there's no good in between. Like they're, super fat cows are like prized because it gives the meat such a great flavor.
Yeah, yeah.
But, that's beef is pretty much the only meat that I eat now. So That's my only, you don't want a fatty chicken though, because
No, then it'll just
no,
be just grizzle everywhere, and it'll just be this like gross,
unless you're making stock, like chicken
slimy.
stock.
Oh yeah, I guess so.
Ooh, I guess you could make human stock.
I
Then
guess you can make
technically you're not eating them.
more of just like having their juices,
Yeah, like drinking their bathwater.
drinking their bath water. That's something that some people on Twitch specialize in.
And that's absolutely disgusting as well.
Hmm.
So I guess we can kick off our cannibal special.
All right, let's start it off. Key, would you like to go first?
Sure, why not? I have the tale of this is interesting because you say cannibals, and the first person that you think of would probably be Jeffrey Dahmer. So I know that, the listeners probably think, oh, they're going to do Jeffrey Dahmer. No, I did like a very unknown, well, it's like really known in Germany, but over here, very unknown, but very weird kind of tale. So I guess I'll go ahead and get into it.
All right.
Well, gather around, children. It's time for a tale of crime. So Armin Meiwes was born on December 1st, 1961, in the German town of Kassel. He was the third and youngest child of Waltrud Meiwes, and he led a very lonely childhood. His other two siblings were half brothers from his father's previous relationship, so he didn't really grow up with them. His father was a stern man who was largely disinterested in his son. And when Maivez's parents' marriage broke up, his father abandoned the family, never to contact them again. And Armin was only 8 years old at that point. So, lacking a father figure, he created an imaginary brother that he called Frankie. Armin vented his cannibalistic thoughts, and Frankie would, quote unquote, listen to them, which is something that his mother never did. At the age of 12, Maives began to fantasize about eating his friends so that they would become a part of him and stay with him forever, which is extremely sad because it speaks to like the level of loneliness he must have been feeling.
Yeah, that is very sad. Oh man. Oh man.
I know. And then in 1999, Maives's mother died, leaving him totally alone for the first time in his life. He inherited the family's large mansion house in Amstetten, where he reportedly constructed a shrine to his mother, complete with a plastic mannequin that he would lay on a pillow each night. Also, after his mother's death, he developed an interest in internet pornography, particularly that featuring torture and pain. Now, I don't know how much of 1999 you remember. Probably not much.
Little to none.
Yeah. Seems how you were only, what, like 4?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 1999, early 2000s was all about the chat rooms. I used to love chat rooms because you could be anybody you wanted to be in chat rooms. Nobody really had to know. It was so much fun. So, exploring these websites of his burgeoning fetish is how he found his way into his first chat rooms about cannibalism, which I never came across, but I guess I wasn't looking, so who knows. In 2000, Maives posted a message in the Cannibal Cafe chat room saying, quote, I'm looking for a young, well-built man aged 18 to 30 to slaughter. Surprisingly, or maybe unsurprisingly, since it was a cannibal chat room, several men responded. Now, a man named Borg Jose or Borg Jos, depending on if he was German or Hispanic, He was set to become Meiwes' first victim. While laid out on the table, preparing to be butchered, he complained of feeling ill and asked to be released, and Meiwes let him go. Like I said, many other people responded to the advertisement, but they subsequently backed out, and no one was forced to do anything that they didn't want to do by Meiwes. Like, he really wanted this to be completely voluntary.
So the other guys were just like, "Yeah, this sounds fun," and then he was like, "Dead ass," and they're like, "Oh wait, no,
Right.
no, 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 I'm good."
Right. Like, I guess they just thought that they were going to be chat room cannibals. And when the going got tough
Yeah,
and things got
we're
real, they couldn't
gonna
handle it.
we're gonna role play cannibalism.
Right. Which is it's quite difficult. But on February 14th, 2001, a man named Bernd Jürgen Brandes replied to Meiwes' internet message. Now, Brandes was a 43-year-old engineer who wrote Meiwes saying that he would agree to be eaten. They exchanged various lurid emails discussing the best way in which he should be eaten and his body to be used afterwards. Brandes even suggested that his skull could be used as an ashtray. Now, they finally met on March 9th, 2001, at Meiwes' home in the small village of Rotenburg. There's a videotape that the two men made when they met in March 2001, but it's never been released to the public. However, the information of its contents have been made known from law enforcement, court officials, and journalists who have gotten to watch it. And it's either 2 or 4 hours long. I got conflicting lengths from different sources, but apparently the video is so disturbing that many of those who saw it sought psychological counseling afterwards.
Oh my.
So here's what went down on the tape. It said that Brandes swallowed about 20 sleeping pills and drank a bottle of cough syrup and then insisted that Meiwes attempt to bite his penis off. This did not work, but Meiwes was able to burst both of Brandes's testicles by biting them.
Ouch.
I was going to say, which sounds excruciatingly painful.
Uh.
Ultimately, Meiwes used a knife to remove Brandes's penis. After he amputated the penis, they tried to eat it together. Brandes tried to eat his share of his own penis rare or raw, but he couldn't do it because it was too chuff and, as he put it, too chewy. Meiwes then sauteed the penis in a pan with salt, pepper, and garlic and fried it a little, but by then it was too burnt to be consumed. So he chopped it up into chunks and fed it to his dog.
What on earth did you just read to me?
I told you this is strange because it's so, like, it's completely voluntary.
Mm.
So Meiwes ran Brandes a bath before going to read a Star Trek book. He checked on Brandes every 15 minutes, during which the time Brandes lay bleeding in the bath. He continued to drift in and out of consciousness before he finally collapsed. After a long hesitation and some prayer, Meiwes killed Brandes in a room that he had installed in his house for this specific purpose. He killed Brandes by stabbing him in the throat, after which he hung the body on a meat hook. He dismembered the body, storing parts in his deep freezer. And his first meal was a piece of rump steak, a piece from his back. And Meiwes described it as a special occasion. He laid out candles, he used his good dinnerware and had wine, and he ate it with potatoes and sprouts. And he said that human flesh tastes like pork, but stronger.
Wait, you told me he brought out the fine china for this?
Oh, he brought out the fine china, the good wine, the potatoes, the sprouts, the candles, the tablecloth, everything.
Yeah, was he playing some R&B too? Dang.
He was setting the mood. Now, over the next 10 months, he consumed up to 20 kilograms, which is 44 pounds, of Brandis's flesh. Meiwes was arrested in December 2002 when a college student alerted authorities to new postings looking for victims online and detailing the killing on the internet. Investigators searched Meiwes' home and found body parts and the infamous videotape of the killing. Now, on January 30th, 2004, Meiwes was convicted of manslaughter and sentenced to 8.5 years in prison. The case attracted considerable media attention and led to a debate over whether Meiwes should be convicted at all, given that Bert-Jürgen Brandis had voluntarily and knowingly participated in the act, and there were also complications as cannibalism itself was not illegal in Germany at the time, which is weird.
What? Dad? What? You had to illegalize cannibalism? I didn't know that was the thing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you have to tell people it is against the law to eat other people. So, in April 2005, a German court ordered a retrial after prosecutors appealed Meiwes' sentence, arguing that he should have been convicted of murder because he killed for sexual gratification, a motive proved by having videotaped his crime. So obviously, this 2 to 4 hour tape showed a lot that they would not discuss. The court ruled that the original trial had ignored the significance of the videotape in disproving the argument that Meiwes only killed because he had been asked to. At this retrial, a psychologist stated that Meiwes could reoffend as he quote unquote still had fantasies about devouring the flesh of young people. But Meiwes stated that he quote unquote had my big kick and I don't need to do it again after killing Brandis. He said his victim quote unquote came to me of his own free will to end his life, and for him it was a nice death. On May 10th, 2006, a court in Frankfurt convicted Meiwes of murder and sentenced him to life imprisonment. Now, I personally think that's maybe kind of harsh because he's right. Like the guy knew what he was getting into. He was a willing participant. I mean, he did kill him, so I guess, but I
Yeah,
don't
and
know.
and there would be like physical. Wouldn't there be physical records of the chat rooms, like saying that I'm down, like let's meet.
Right, and then the all the emails that they sent back and forth. But
Yeah.
I guess I don't know. I guess it's kind of a lot, but then kind of not. But he said he just wanted to do it once. But who knows? If you can murder somebody, you can lie about things.
You know,
Anyway,
now I wonder if he has that fulfilling moment that he thought he would as a child to have a friend like in him or whatever he said.
well, there is a little more. Maives admitted to what he's done and expressed regret for his actions. He added that he wanted to write a book of his life story with the aim of deterring anyone who wants to follow his steps. Websites dedicated to Maives have appeared with people advertising for willing victims.
No way.
Yes. Now, according to a report by Bild Zeitung from October 2007, Maives was reportedly helpful in the analysis of two suspected cannibal murders from 1998 to 2000, in which two young boys were found horribly mutilated, possibly by the same murderer, fulfilling much of the same role as the fictional cannibal murderer Hannibal Lecter. Now, also, while he was in prison, he worked at the prison library and he joined a prisoners group, which stands for Green Party Politics. He also became a vegetarian while he was in prison.
Oh, that's a
But
twist I didn't see coming.
but that's not the end though. Meiwes has rejected substantial offers from film companies and publishers to bring his story to the big screen and has instead assigned the global rights of his story to Stamf Hamburg's based company Stampwork for no charge, on the condition that it gives an accurate account of the case. He currently, as of May 2020, gets supervised day trips away from prison. He is given sunglasses and a cap to hide his identity, and being accompanied by two officers, he's driven to another state in Germany for security reasons to walk around town.
Sounds like he has a really nice deal going on there.
Yeah, a lot of prisons outside of America give prisoners like day release, which to me is wild because like couldn't they just escape?
I guess those for those model prisoners, you hear about.
But he has a life sentence. Like he has no. It's not like he's going to get out on parole in a couple days. Like
And and Key, I'm be real with you. Like, I don't agree with this guy's actions at all, but he seems like a nice guy. You know, like he actually regretful for killing a man in retrospect.
right,
But
he's not trying to make money off of it.
no, like he seems like a really nice guy.
Right,
I mean, like,
he
I
seemed
don't
like
know.
it was just something that
It
maybe
was
he could have gotten counseling for when he was younger, that it wouldn't have gotten to this point.
Yeah, because like ever since he was a kid, he wants to eat a friend till he has that friend forever.
Right. So it seems like it was just like a lot of mental things that were just unresolved that led him to do this because it's like he like you said, he felt like he did it and now he didn't need to do it anymore. Like he just kind of wanted to see how it would be.
The one and done, if
Yeah.
I've ever seen it.
Yeah, because I truly don't believe that if they let him out of jail now that he would go hunting for people because it's like he wanted volunteers. He didn't just hunt these people down in the middle of the night and kill them.
Exactly. He could have went
He
about it a
like
whole nother way. He want to do it the
right.
legit way. He want to get consent, make sure the meat tastes better that way.
And if you were uncomfortable in any way and wanted to back out, he would just let you go. So it's not like he was doing this with malicious intent, I guess is my thing. Like I don't think he was really malicious with it.
This is top notch cannibalism if I ever seen it.
Yeah. But I felt like this right here was so crazy and then for him to turn around and become a vegetarian.
That's the twist no one saw coming.
Right. Like he's like, well, I guess he's eating everything that you could eat. Why not become a vegetarian? There's no more meat left.
Oh, that's a mean flex right there.
Yeah. But that's my story.
Wow. Thanks, Key. That was great. Now, what's really funny is I became a little unnerved when you started speaking about your case because you said it was known in Germany, and my case is also from Germany. So I thought we went over this. I thought I sent you my guy's name, and you got a German dude, and it sounds like my guy at first, but then it wasn't because you said 19 something. My
99.
case, 1999. My case starts in 16th century.
What's up with Germans and cannibalism?
Hey, must be something they're bred with.
I guess.
So today I'm going to tell you about the werewolf of Bedburg, Peter Stumpp. Peter Stumpp was born in the village of Eppra inside of Bedburg, West Germany. No official birth year is given. It would have been roughly around 1545 to 1550, though. Though his name has some variation on the spelling, a running theme found in the Old English documents all have variations of Stumpf, the German word for stump, and is generally thought to refer to his missing left hand. You may have thought this would be a severe disability and it would hinder him from making a living, but he actually was pretty good at being a farmer, and he made pretty good money inside of his little village too. As a widower, he was well known and fairly wealthy within Bedburg. He took a mistress and had two children. His first child, a son whose name is not mentioned, and his second, Sybil, was his daughter.
I mean, is she really a mistress if his wife is dead?
I don't think so. It's just like, moving on, I guess.
Maybe
But
that's just what they called you in the 1500s.
it must have been, but I'm pretty sure both of these children are from that first marriage before his wife passed. So, since the age of 12, Peter was interested in the dark arts and practiced black magic, necromancy, and sorcery. Through this path, Peter would later make a pact with and sell his soul to the devil at the age of 20. The devil gave him a special belt in return for his eternal servitude. So you see right now, it's already getting pretty dark and twisted. This is this is
Absolutely.
this case is very familiar to a Salem witch trial style of case, because these are all from the records of the Old English, like literature, and their accounts on the events, and of course, it has a very mythological turn of events that precedes what I'm going to say next. The devil promised to give him whatever his heart desired during his lifetime. Peter did not want wealth or to be famous. His dark heart and evil mind only wanted to endure pain and suffering on men, women, and children in the shape of some beast so that he would not be found out and taken to trial for his bloody crimes. During the next 25 years, Peter held a grim gauntlet of fear over the village of Bedburg. By day, mingling with the village folk, living pleasantly among them. As a smooth talker, he would use the guise of sociability to lure women out into the fields alone, or wait them to leave the village by themselves, and sensing his opportunity, would then proceed to rape and murder them, plucking out their throats and tearing their joints asunder. That was a quote from the Old English book. A lot of those quotes are gonna sound like that. They're gonna be very Old Englishy, so
They
you'll know
have
when
a
they
way with
happen.
words.
hmm When he was unable to coax or follow a young lady by herself, he would tear into groups of young girls, in his wolf-like shape, separate off the one he had taken a liking to, and kill her promptly. When the deed was done, he would then remove the belt, resume his shape of a man, and slip back into society, with no one the wiser, and even greeted his recent victims' families with a smile. Within a few years, he had murdered 13 young girls and two pregnant women, eating their unborn children.
Oh my lord.
When times were less fruitful, and Peter was unable to find women or children to kill, he turned instead to local cattle, reportedly killing lambs and various farm life, eating them raw in the fields. During his murderous activities, he maintained a work and home life, taking care of his family. He took care of his family so well, in fact, that his beautiful daughter gave birth to a child born out of an incestuous relationship that Peter committed to.
Oh my gosh.
You know what they say though? When you do incest, you may as well go all in. So he
I've
also
never heard
carried
anybody say that ever.
he also carried on an incestuous relationship with his sister at the same time. During this period, he also had another relationship with his mistress named Catherine Thrompen. So this one wasn't a mistress. This one was someone totally different from that woman that he was just with after his children were born.
Wow. He has a lot going on. He's spinning a lot of plates at once.
He is, and he just thinks he's just so invincible right now. It's pretty humorous. So this Catherine lady, he met her one night while out drinking and seduced her with his quote unquote fair and flattering speech. Catherine was a well known and well liked woman in Bedburg. She was tall and slender, and her beauty was described as, quote, so fair of face and comely of personage that she resembled rather some heavenly halfling than any mortal creature. So far her beauty exceeded the choicest sort of women. Unquote.
Wow.
That's a way to put it right there.
Right.
If I slip that in a girl's locker, she'll definitely fall in love with me.
Okay.
Naturally, one does not acquire such looks without some sort of trickery, and the document later suspect that she was in fact a quote wicketed spirit in the similitude and likeness of a woman unquote sent to him by the devil to keep an eye on him to make
So
sure
she
that
was so pretty, she had to be fake.
she had to be fake.
Wow.
She cannot be a real person. As time passed, however, Peter's lust for blood grew insatiable, and he became transfixed on the act of killing. He stopped selecting victims for their characteristics which stood out to him or attracted him, and started killing for the simple pleasure he took from it. This grew to the point where, despite being a kind father to his son, who he deeply loved, he later attacked him whilst in his wolf form. The whole grisly affair was reported as such. Quote, so far his delight in murder exceeded the joy he took in his son, that thirsting after his blood, on a time he enticed them into the fields, and from thence into a forest hard by, where, making excuse to stay about the necessaries of nature, while the young man went forward, incontent, in the shape and likeness of a wolf, he encountered his own son, and there most cruelly slew him. Which done, he presently ate the brains out of his head as the most savory and dainty delicious meal to staunch his greedy appetite. Unquote.
His son? Man, he just don't give a damn.
He just don't give a damn. He ate his brains like a true zombie would. One day, he came across a group of three people in the forest clearing. He knew two of them. It was two young men from Bedburg who were accompanying a young woman. Crouching by a bush, he called the name of one of the men, and when he walked over to see who was calling him, Peter quietly killed him outright. When the second came to look for his friend, he promptly dispatched of him as well, and then chased the lone woman down, raped and murdered her. The bodies of the men were found in the woods by a patrol in later days, though the woman was never found and was presumed to have been eaten.
Come on, he couldn't eat a whole person.
Yeah, I don't. Not even in wolf form. I don't think that could happen. Like bones and all. Key. His terror went on for 25 years.
Sweet gracious, 25 years?
25 years.
That's unbelievable.
During these 25 years, Peter's deeds were not going unnoticed, and while none suspected him of any wrongdoing, it became harder and harder for him to kill whenever he pleased, as most locals had begun to travel armed or with bodyguards, all afraid of the monster that lies in the forest and that by this point had become legend. Around this time, as security tightened and fear gripped the villagers to walk alone, Peter suffered his only documented close call, when upon storming into a group of unaware children, he grabbed one young girl, and as he tried to sink his teeth into her throat, he could not due to the virtue of her high and stiff collar. She let out a scream that startled a nearby cattle, who stampeded towards Peter, forcing him to drop the child and run for his life. This young girl is the only documented survivor of an attack by Peter. Now, I honestly think that he just straight up just missed. Like he tried to bite her neck, but he just straight up missed.
I think the whole little scenario right there is okay. if you scream and startle a cow, it's not going to run toward the scream. It's going to run away from the scream.
That's true. Unless that cow was influenced by the devil who was telling Peter, your time to repay me is coming soon.
Oh, so it could have been that very pretty woman who was now in cow form.
In cow form, yes. She
Okay,
probably
I
she probably
got
had
you.
a belt too, as you
Right.
as you see. In a desperate attempt to alleviate the village of Bedburg from fear, a small force of men was enlisted to hunt the wolf using dogs, who rather quickly entrapped the beast in the forest. Seeing there was no advantage for him in his predicament, Peter slipped out of his belt, transforming to his human form in front of their eyes. The men, all amazed at what they had witnessed, but knowing Peter well, escorted him to his house and called out for the local magistrate to arrest him. He was put to the rack, a device that bound the ankles and wrists on each corner of a frame, and then, through turning a crank, the whole body slowly pulled and stretched, inducing excruciating pain, often used in interrogation. In Peter's fear, he quickly confessed his entire life story, from his encounter with the devil, his taking ownership of the belt, and its magical properties, to the long list of victims that he had murdered during his reign of terror. I bet they cranked it like 2 inches and he screamed and he just started telling them everything. He sounded like a kind of punk that would do that.
Right. Like, but those medieval torture devices, they were very crazy.
The next one I'm going to tell you about is going to be real crazy.
Ooh, I can't wait.
In the telling of his story, he admitted to casting the belt aside before his apprehension. However, when men were sent to look for it, nothing could be found. This was supposed, quote, that it was gone to the devil from whence it came, so that it was not to be found, for the devil having brought the wrench to all the shame he could, left him to endure the torments which his deeds deserved. Unquote. On October 28, 1589, Peter Stumpp faced trial for the murders of countless men, women, children, and cattle and in around Bedburg. He was found guilty almost immediately. On Halloween, in Bedburg Square, in the presence of many peers and princes of Germany, Peter Stumpp was placed on a device known as a breaking wheel. This large cartwheel was where people were tied and bound. With red hot pincers, his skin was torn from his bones, his arms and legs were then broken with wooden hatchets. Mercifully, he was at last killed outright through beheading, and finally his body was burnt.
Whoa, that's extreme.
That's how they do it back in the medieval times. So, deemed as an accessory to murder, his own daughter and mistress were also found guilty, and instead of being put on that device, their method of execution was to be thrown on top of Peter's burning body.
They didn't even have nothing to do with it though.
Yeah, there's no way that his own daughter knew that he was a wolf man, a werewolf.
They were just guilty by association. Good gracious.
It's like, because you had sex with him, you dying too.
Wowzers. Like they were it was pretty rough back in the Middle Ages.
It was not an easy time to live with. It was not an easy time to live in.
Not at all.
In celebration for the downfall of his reign of terror over the village, a shrine was erected, using the breaking wheel as a centerpiece, upon which an engraving of a wolf was placed on the top of the pole, along with Peter's head. The whole thing was encircled with 16 pieces of wood a foot in length, symbolizing the victims of Peter whose names were known. The document of the life of Peter Stumpp is finished with a telling passage. Quote, "This, gentle reader, have I set down the true discourse of this wicked man, Stub Peter, which I desire to be a warning to all sorcerers and witches, which unlawfully follow their own devilish imagination to the utter ruin and destruction of their souls eternally. From which wicked and damnable practices I beseech God keep all good men, and from the cruelty of their wicked hearts. Amen. Unquote. That is the tale of Peter Stumpp.
That was crazy.
It was.
25 years. That was crazy.
Man, it was insane.
So I am actually ready to bring it up for this episode because Dexter is coming back.
Yeah, I saw
I
that.
am
Dexter's coming
so
back.
excited. Oh my gosh.
When is it going to start?
I don't know, but probably sometime next year. It's only getting like 10 episodes. They're not going to undo anything that's already happened, which I feel like I'm like the only person in the world that was actually kind of okay with the way it ended because, as you know, I watch it every year. I rewatch from episode 1 to the very last episode. Right now, I'm on like season 8, episode 3.
Yeah, when I was at your
So,
house, I saw it on.
yeah, so it's like I watch it every single year. I rewatch the whole series. And like they did a lot of foreshadowing. He said multiple times, I'm a monster. I'll never get a happy ending. Oh, my life is, I'm always going to be lonely. Like he constantly said he was going to end up alone and that he was not going to have a happy ending. He constantly said it like every single season. So it's like he kind of foreshadowed what was going to happen to him in the end. If he didn't die, he was going to end up alone. But they said they're going to pick up 8 years later since it's been 8 years. And so nobody that's died is going to come back. And, you know, it's not going to be any of that.
You feel all right about
Because it's like, I feel like instead of them trying to erase what they did, that just continuing the story is much better.
Yeah, I can see. I can get that. I can get behind that.
And my thing was like, okay, they should continue it, but Dexter should now be his son. Like Harrison should be the serial killer. Like, you know, he's realizing he's a psychopath. And then Dexter is his version of Harry, who's like his conscience. Like I had like all types of thoughts on how they could redo this and bring it back. But I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Yeah, that'd be a really cool play on it if they use his son.
Right, because at this point his son would be like about 16. And that's kind of about when Dexter's father started training him. So it could work. It could definitely. But we shall see. We get 10 episodes and I'm excited.
The 10 episodes are going to be great. I, from friends, have been told to watch it repeatedly. I never got around to it. I know it's a good show. I just haven't gotten around to watching it.
It is like it kind of takes a dip towards like the last few seasons, but it's like it's two storylines that just kind of don't really make sense. But all in all, like as a whole, I was okay with it. And like I think that they, you know, they had books called Darkly Dreaming Dexter that they kind of had to follow at a point. So it's like, you know, it's not like they were just creating this out of thin air. They were following the book series
So they had to keep everything canon that was already in place.
to an extent. Like some stuff they did like veer off of, like on The Walking Dead, where they like went against the books or the comics and like
Hmm.
were was killing people who didn't die in the comics or vice versa.
Yeah,
But
they had to get that drama in there.
yeah. But I am super excited. I'm so ready. This cannot come out fast enough. I hope it gets picked up for another season. It's It's the highlight of my 2020 at this point.
Hashtag is what the people want.
It is what the people want.
Well, that is great. I'm so happy that you're happy.
Thank you. I'm happy that you're happy that I'm happy.
Let's all be happy together. I'm sure the listeners happy that you're happy that I'm happy that you're happy too.
Yes. And also, I finally got my Doritos today that I talked about like 4 episodes ago.
Wow, look at that.
It took me this long to finally get some Doritos, but I got them.
But you got them. A lot of times when I want something like that, when I do get around to getting it, I'm like, I don't want these all that much anymore. Or just like 2 chips in, I'm like, okay, I'm done.
No, I'm going to go make a sandwich and eat my Doritos and maybe watch 2 more episodes of Dexter. So, with that being said, did you have anything happy feeling in your life the way that I do?
I try to stay happy every day, you know. Every day is a great day. When the sun's shining and you got a job, and you got people that care about you and stuff. Everything's great. I gotta have a good balance between all these dark and disturbing cases and being a normal human being.
That is true. That was very profound, V. I love that.
No problem. Don't mention it. Thank all the people in my life that make it great, and thank all the listeners that listen to me.
Yes, listeners, thank you. Thanks to everybody in the Facebook group who laugh and joke around with me on the memes. I love you guys. Shout out to all of you. Also to our Instagram people, which is mostly other podcasts, but hey, we love you guys too. And Twitter, of course, WStat_pod for the Twitter and the Instagram. And we shouldn't talk about this podcast is the title of the Facebook group.
Just follow
So,
us on socials. Come join our page. Come talk with us. Have a great time.
or if you watch that movie Social Dilemma and you don't want to follow us on social, I completely understand because that movie was really something.
I have not seen that movie.
You should watch it because it is not mind blowing, but it's eye opening. Like the people who are like the ones who create these social media websites, or they used to work for like Facebook and Twitter and Google. Like it's the people who work behind the scenes of all these things, talking about how much they do not like how the apps are controlling people's lives.
Wow, I actually thought that they loved that. I thought they would want that to be the case. But it's good to know that that's not what they intended.
Oh no, no, they feel like it is very detrimental to society how much stock people put into apps. Like, your life has to be perfect because everybody on Instagram's life is perfect, and if you don't get enough likes you're not good enough. Like they were like they did not intend for it to go that way. They don't like that it went that way, and most of them said they don't even let their kids have social media at all. Like that's how detrimental they think it is. Like there it shows like how they kind of bait you back in. Like if you're not on your phone doing anything, it's like the system will send you a notification about something random just to get you to pick up your phone and get back engaged.
I could see that. I could definitely see that.
Yeah, it's like it goes into like a lot of like behind the scenes, but kind of like the methods to their madness. And it's really a good watch. It's only like an hour and a half maybe, and it was really eye opening.
Wow, Key. Thanks for giving our listeners a second guess when they were going to click that join page or click that follow button on our socials. Awesome job there.
No problem. No, but really follow us, engage with us. We love you. We also have a YouTube.
YouTube uploads every Tuesday at 8 a.m.
Right. Don't make us have to eat people because we're lonely and we need someone to stay with us. Just join us. Be our friends.
It don't make me try to get a bell to turn to a werewolf so that I can do stuff without punishment for 25 years.
Yeah, don't send us down these roads.
We really rather not.
We really wouldn't. Well, with that being said, I'm Key,
And I'm V.
and this has been We Shouldn't Talk About This.
Bye.
Bye.